Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Noel and I review and unbox subscription boxes here on my channel. And today I have the January, yes you heard me right, I said January authentic book box to share with all of you. Some of you know, she is woefully behind, so this is the first box of 2024 that I have received. We are all waiting patiently for our February boxes because despite all the shipping delays, it is a fantastic book subscription just in terms of the titles that she offers and the curations and the customization, and that is one of the reasons that they can get so behind so quickly. That said, it has been voted the best book box here on the channel for 2 years in a row because it is so good. So I know some of us are just patiently waiting. Some of us has totally understandably put our subscriptions on pause. Some of you who have thought about subscribing are holding off until they get caught up. All of that completely understandable. Natisha's also very understanding of that situation. They had told us that they were going to try to get the January and February boxes out in the month of May. I will tell you that while I have this January box, I still have not seen any movement on my February box. I do have the shipping label for it because about a month and a half ago, she actually printed out the shipping labels for those of us who are in the Noel book club. We love this box so much that we have been running our quarterly book club off of it, but we have a February book and it is now June and we still haven't done our first book club read of the year, which is a little bit disappointing. Hopefully we'll get caught up. I do think we'll probably be able to at least squeeze in 3 reads this year. If you are interested in joining us, by all means, you do not have to be subscribed to Authentic Books or get the book box to participate in our book club discussions. So more information on that below and over in the Noel, which is our private Facebook group. But I am a little bit disappointed. I did give her a quick DM and see if they were still on track. Like I said, the February boxes have started going out, but the efforts to expedite our book club boxes just didn't happen. They're still hoping to get all of the March and April boxes out this month. So we could suddenly be inundated with them and then that would get them caught up, but we'll just have to see. I know a lot of you are really frustrated, so please do be patient. Or like I said, just hold off until they do get caught up. In all honesty, while that does hurt with the revenue, it does probably help them get caught up in terms of being able to package smaller boxes. Now, when I tell you a little bit more about it, maybe you'll understand a little bit more how difficult the curations are because there are 3 options every month. Right now, she's actually giving you the option of choosing a past box because she has all of the contents ready to go, and she has a lot of them in her brick and mortar shop, which she's also open to support the subscription, not to detract from it. But there's so much customization in each of these boxes for each of the books that it's just there are so many different curations. She might actually start to take away from that to ensure that the shipping happens a lot faster, but I personally feel like she was able to do it for several years, so I want to give her that grace and see if we can get back to where we were, because there's 2 options. There's 2 tiers now. So there's the full box, which is $56.99 plus $5 in shipping. I do have a code for you. It's Noel10. That'll save you 10%. Of course, you get to choose your book, and they're always really well rated and recently released titles. And then you get your book. You get a 4-ounce candle that goes along with the theme, sometimes collaborated with the author to create. You get a coffee, tea, or cocktail mixer, right? So there's customization right there. And then you get 2 touch items, so lifestyle items, as well as all the enhancers, which is things like the Tasseled bookmark, which is always kind of a lovely extra, recipes that go along with the read, an author's note if it's available, a signed book plate that is styled to go along with the cover of the book. So lots of extras, which are lovely. Now, if you want to upgrade for a few dollars more, it's just $10 more for the premium experience because she's kind of tailoring these around the ideas of all of the senses getting involved in your reading. That's just, like I said, $10 more, but you get 2 extra items essentially. So you're going to get your book, you're going to get your candle, you'll get all of those enhancers. You get to choose the tea, coffee, or cocktail mixer. You also get a premium chocolate, and instead of just 2 touch items, you wind up with 3, so an extra lifestyle item. Now, I think because of the delays and maybe the size of the contents, we didn't get our nice branded box. I am hoping that that comes back. So it just came in this more plain box, which is fine. We did get a little extra this time around, I think, to, you know, as a thank you for being so patient. So we do have this little tote bag, the Authentic Bookstore. It says meet me at the bookstore, which is pretty cute. It's a very thin little tote, very crinkled. I gotta iron these little linen straps, but this is kind of goes along with the idea of what you can do at the bookstore if you have the opportunity to visit. You get a tote and then you get to fill it with basically, you know, all of the items that would go into a book box, but you get to build your own box or build your own tote, which I think is really fun. You get to pick out a book and then you get to pick out all of those extra touch items that you want to include, as well as, you know, candles and all the things that go with. So I think that's a really fun shopping experience if you're someone who loves books. I cannot get there in person, but I appreciate that she sent us this little tote as an extra. The book. Let's finally talk about it. There is a guide that comes along with, so usually that includes a little descriptor of all of the items that are inside. I am hoping that one day she's able to get back to having all of the page numbers, or some page numbers for the inspiration. She still does list like mini in here. There used to be 3 sizes, but as far as I know, when you go on the website now to purchase a box or purchase a subscription, I think there's only the full and premium options, where there are either 2 touch items or there are 3 touch items. There's not a 1 touch item option anymore. We get our book cocktail, then that will usually go with the cocktail mixer if that is your choice for your drink, and we get the Story Eats. And this time around it's a Capri Spritz, which is based off of a canned cocktail mixer, and a salted dark chocolate popcorn bark, which sounds amazing. There's usually a Meet the Makers feature, a Spotify playlist, like I said, for the sense of sound, and some editor's notes. So it says, you know, at the beginning of summer, we took on the scary task of signing a lease on a space that needed so much work. And this was really, again, this is all not a detractor from the subscription. It's a way to support the subscription and have that space. All right. I know this was a lot of preamble. I apologize. There's not a lot of passages to read, though, in a book subscription like this, because she doesn't necessarily have the page numbers that go along with it. It's just sort of the essence, the vibe of the book that inspires the items. We did get this nice hardcover. The book is called Family by Laurie Frankel, and it is a novel about adoption. And as someone who is an adoptee, I thought it sounded really interesting. So let me go ahead and read the blurb for you. It says, actress and adoptive mother India Allwood, tired of the usual tragic adoption narratives in cinema, sparks a media firestorm by criticizing her new movie's portrayal of adoption, highlighting the complex nature of family beyond blood and love. So that's where it comes from. It's not just a repetitive title. It's like talking about, you know, what people call your real family, which I think they usually mean your biological family, versus your family. And families can look very, very different. So let's see. India Allwood grew up wanting to be an actor. Armed with a stack of index cards for research, line memorization, makeshift confetti, she goes from awkward 16-year-old to Broadway ingenue to TV superhero. Her new movie is a prestige picture about adoption, but its spin is the same old tired story of tragedy. India is an adoptive mom in real life, though. She wants everyone to know there's more to her family than the usual story would lead you to believe. So she does something an actor should never do. She tells a journalist the truth. It's a bad movie. Soon, she's at the center of a media storm, battling accusations from the press and the paparazzi, from the protesters on the right and the advocates on the left. Her twin 10-year-olds know they need to help their mom, and who better to call than family? But that's where it gets really messy, because India's not just an adoptive mother. The one thing she knows for sure is that what makes a family isn't blood, and it isn't just love, because no matter how they're formed, the truth about families is this: they're complicated. And so, of course, because she is this public figure, her past, her history, and her other experiences of adoption, besides as an adoptive mother, all come to light. So it is told in multiple voices, it is told in multiple times. It is actually told very in contemporary, so in the midst of the panda, which I thought was actually very interesting to see how she was able to incorporate that. And I did really enjoy it. It was a pretty chunky book, but I did enjoy it. So we got, for our it's about to get literary. Our candle this time around, this is of course for the sense of smell, and this comes in both size boxes. It is called Love Without Bounds. It is amber and golden musk. So it sounds good. I'm not really sure where that inspiration comes from. I don't particularly remember like golden musk necessarily, but smells nice, nice simple candle. They do a really good job with the scents and the candle making that they do all in-house. And then for taste number 1, which would be in all of the boxes, again, you got the cocktail mix. This is a Capri Spritz. So it's actually got pomegranate, cranberry shrub, and lemongrass. I do not know how this goes with the book either, except that the colors on the can really match, but I don't particularly remember a Capri Spritz. I don't really remember them going to Capri or Capri. There is a coffee from Sunday Mornings, and there was a tea from Tama Tea that was also canned instead of the usual loose leaf tea or bags that we get. Peach pear green tea, which sounds fantastic. There is a little thing about fruit, so maybe that's where it comes from, because the two twins are named Jack and Fig because one of their biological parents really loved fruit. I know. That's not too much of a spoiler, but it's something you don't find out until the end of the book, and I thought, okay, well, there's the fruit tie-in. Taste number 2 that would only be in your premium experiences. This I thought was awesome. This was the caramelized popcorn milk chocolate from Compartes. This is a lovely chocolatier that we get often in authentic books. My husband loves to steal these, but it sounds amazing. So I think we have the wrong description for it in the little guide. Again, they're trying to push these out the door, but this one sounds really good. Movie theater buttery popcorn caramelized popcorn crunch. Guys, while we're at it, let's have a secret password. It's going to be popcorn. So when you come across a secret password in one of my videos, enter it along with your contact information in the Google form linked for you in the description box below. Please don't put it into the comments. About 5 days into the following month, I will close the entry form, and I will use a random number picker to select a few winners to receive a mystery box as my way of saying thank you for watching my videos. You have to be 18 years or older. You have to have a US or Canadian mailing address. And just as a reminder, it is not affiliated with YouTube or any of the boxes that I open here on the channel. It is just my way of saying thank you so much and for being a subscriber of my channel, because that is another prereq. But today's secret password is popcorn. And this, of course, is because our friend India Allwood, sort of the protagonist of the entire book, she is, of course, a movie star. So she wanted to be a theater actress, which she was successfully, but she eventually becomes a movie star. All right, so now we are down to our 3 touch items. Again, you would get 2 of them in the standard box or the full box, and then you get 3 of them in the premium. We got a nice collagen firming face mask, always nice, from Lapkos. The peptides refresh and revive tired, dull skin and diminish the appearance of wrinkles and fine lines for renewed radiance. This is a very common sort of touch item, lifestyle self-care item that we would get in the box. Any of these boxes. I don't know necessarily why this is related to the book, except for maybe this is the kind of self-care that an actress or an actor would enjoy. But we got one of these. You know, sometimes it's not like super closely tied. Sometimes, you know, if it was fruit inspired, then maybe it would feel a little bit more closely tied. We also got a Ylang Ylang hand lotion from Avery Beauty. So nice little hand lotion, an ultra rich, fast absorbing vegan hand and body cream made with shea butter and natural extracts. It deeply hydrates, leaving skin irresistibly smooth. So again, not like the closest tie to the book that I personally remember. That's some of the times I wish that we actually got the page numbers, but still a nice self-care item to include. And then finally, we got this number 18 muscle soak from a company called Milk and Honey. I don't remember any sort of relaxing baths either in this book, but again, I read it probably a week ago now. It says this potent arnica and eucalyptus infused soak rejuvenates and invigorates weary limbs. It's got eucalyptus, arnica, rosemary, sweet marjoram, improves blood flow and eases tired, achy muscles. So that all sounds lovely, doesn't it? Muscle soak. I'm not a bath girl, so this is probably something that I'll pass on to someone else or use as a foot soak. That could definitely be a good option as well. So we kind of, I will say, I wasn't like super impressed with, these are all lovely self-care items to receive that I would absolutely appreciate in a regular lifestyle or self-care box. This time around, to me, they didn't feel that connected to the book, which I did really enjoy. Here is our little quote card, or excuse me, our bookmark. It says, regardless of how they get made, family is a force to be reckoned with. But I do like that. I think it's really pretty. So that's the authentic book side. Really striking colors and contrast. I like the candle. Again, I don't remember. So I feel like sometimes it's like I need to have this open the whole time I'm reading the book, which is just not practical because that doesn't always happen for me. But I will say the chocolates definitely go with. All right, so I just wanted to finish up, you guys, because I know a lot of this was just updates from Natisha and what we're doing with our book club right now. We are still doing our book club. We're still hopefully going to do at least one more authentic books box towards the end of the year. We have selected a different box for another midsummer. We might have like 2 summer reads like right up against each other because this February box is coming so late. But I thought I would read a passage, again, as someone who is an adoptee, and I really liked this passage, and I think it speaks to not only India in the book, but I believe it also speaks to the author, and you know, there's a little bit of real life meets fiction here, because I believe she is also an adoptive mother in real life. So, on the way to a hospital India had never heard of, she tried to do what she'd been advised: prepare herself. She had gone into the process cocky, the adoption process, where she decides that she wants to adopt. She'd been through adoption before, twice, but kind of on the other end. So she knew what she was doing better than most adoptive parents. After all, she'd seen it from the other side. But in fact, Regina's take on adoption was the opposite of India's, all doom and gloom and downside and tragedy and regret, loss. Regina is the social worker who is helping her through the adoption process. Best case scenario, Regina had explained, the birth parents were being forced, one way or another, to relinquish children they longed not to. The children were losing their real families, losing their ancestors, losing their homes, losing sometimes their culture, their country, their homeland, their people, losing their sense of place and belonging. Adoptive parents were mired in loss too, finally giving up on the idea of having their own children once and for all and settling for these instead. India thought it was so much bullshit. She had not been forced to relinquish children she longed to keep, not in any way, from any angle. If some birth mothers were, it didn't mean all of them were, any more than anything else that was true for some mothers was true for all of them. To decide they'd all been forced was insulting, disempowering, and condescending. It was possible to lose, but not be lost. To be sad without wishing things were other than they were. It seemed to her that women did this all the time, weathered things that were hard and heartbreaking, but also chosen and even strived for. It seemed to her they often made tough decisions to let go, to lay down, in order to pick up something else, because they knew, maybe in their bones, maybe having learned it again and again, that having all the things you wanted all at the same time was rarely on the table. It seemed to her that the people who had decided all birth mothers were regretful and unhappy and had been forced to do something they didn't want to do were probably men. So I just thought that was great. I think it is wonderful that she took the time to, you know, representation is so important in the arts, whether it's on stage or in movies or in books. And she acknowledges that there are a lot of representations of adoption and how family doesn't necessarily have to be biological family, but often it's these like sad orphans or it's this loss, and there's often the idea of an adoptee trying to find their biological parents in this great, you know, epiphany, and everybody felt like there was something missing in their lives until they found their biological parents. And so I love this idea of being able to choose adoption and it not just being a default, both on both ends, as someone who is placing their child for adoption, and also for someone who decides to opt for adoption, because usually people just assume that you are adopting because you couldn't get your own biological children, but that doesn't have to be the case, right? So I thought it was a really interesting novel. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of the voices. I loved how contemporary it was. I loved there was like an element of theater, which like spoke to me as well. The curation, not like my favorite one, because sometimes I feel like she does a much better job of really tying the items in there to enhance the reading experience. But I'm also having some grace and realizing that they're trying to get these boxes out as fast as possible. I'm hoping that it's a little bit faster than it has been, and I am hoping that by the end of the year they're caught right back up onto their monthly cadence, which they did manage to do for several years. So hopefully you guys will also have some grace and give it a shot if you haven't, or come back to Authentic Books if you were taking a little pause once they do get everything back together. And again, that code, if you are ready and maybe you want to go ahead and dive in and get one of the boxes that is already ready to go because it was a past title from an earlier month, Noel 10 is that 10% option. Thanks so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate your support. Don't forget there was a secret password in this video, and I will see you soon in my next unboxing.